Again, thanks for sticking with us on the Ticats virtual draft night party presented by Ticats Insurance, provided by my insurance broker. As we're keeping the conversation going with co-player. See, I always get this. You got to get a shorter title, man. Co-GM is basically, but he's Senior Director of Personnel and Co-Manager of Football Operations, Shawn Burke. And Shawn, how according to plan did tonight go?
Well, first I just want to say thanks to all the fans that are in the draft party and watching on Facebook. Thanks for being part of this great night for us. In terms of how the draft went, we're ecstatic. You know, when you look at how you do the board and everything beforehand, you hope to get some guys that you had high on your board. And I feel with the first 3 picks that we made, the 2 first-rounders in the second round, we got 3 guys that were rated very high on our board. So I think all of them can do their own things when you're talking about them. And then we continued this trend through the draft of adding competitive football players that we believe can help our team. And at the end of the draft, you know, we got a kicker in the mix that might not be here right away. He's going to pursue some options down south at first, but hopefully one day we can see him in camp with us, and then a long snapper. So when you talk about addressing all 3 sides of the ball, I think we did it pretty equally.
Let's just talk about Colter Woodman. What'd you like about him? What stood out about his game? He's very excited. You know, when I was talking to him, he's very excited to be a Hamilton Tiger Cat. When you have a guy who's motivated to join the club, that's got to help when it comes to making that selection.
Yeah, I think when you talk about what you want in a football player, Coach O makes it very easy for us along with the rest of the staff. And first and foremost is competitive-driven football players that love the game. And you can see that on his film. He plays nasty, man. He plays with a physical edge. He's going to cause some havoc. We like those aggressive players that play right to that line and play the game the right way. So he gives us another great option on the O-line. You know, we start 4 Canadians, and we want to continue doing that. It gives you multiple options elsewhere within the organization. And, you know, when you look at our alignment coming up, you can even make a case that we could look at starting 5. So, you know, adding to what we did with Gibb last year, developing Kay, Sheridan Lawley's coming in the mix, Brett Golding, Van Pelt, and then having the veterans we do. We've really built a stable there, and having someone that loves the game as much as Colter does, it's just true excitement to add to our organization.
Mason Bennett out of the University of North Dakota, what stood out to you about him, and how do you see him kind of making an impact on the lineup?
Yeah, first and foremost, the frame he has. You know, he's a long-levered kid that's 6'4" and has the frame to move inside if he wanted. He played at the quick DN position in college, but we feel he can play inside and out, which gives you versatility. We always talk about as an organization guys that can play multiple spots. So when you're talking about putting a lineup together and having a Canadian that can do that and take reps at those spots at some point in his career, that's a great thing. I think he does have the upside to develop into starter, obviously, but at the same time can come in and help us on special teams. He's athletic enough to do that. He'll be on multiple teams for us. When you talk about him as a D lineman off the film, his hand use was great against the O-line. I think he has some great potential there, and we'll just get the experience in playing behind a guy like Teddy and a guy like Garrett and Hauser, the worker he is, and Malden. He's coming into a great group that'll show him the ropes in this league.
Where does the attention turn now? Post-draft, obviously, you know, we all want to be back playing football, but for you as a management group, I have to imagine it just goes, like you said, competition, just kind of more evaluation of talent on this group.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the attention now is to welcome these young men into our organization. We talk about the atmosphere we have as an organization, both with players, with coaching staff, with the fans and everything, and we want to make their transition as easy as possible. So, you know, we go through steps of whenever we recruit a new player, be it American, Canadian, or global, of getting them entrenched in the organization and making them feel like a welcome part. So we'll go through those steps. And then when you talk about building the team. You're still looking at adding some roster spots for training camp. We do have some numbers still available to us in terms of adding bodies. So it's those last few Americans in that vantage point that have maybe snuck through the draft or we're waiting to see if they get into camp. So we'll continuously meet as a personnel staff. We were intentionally a little picky on sort of our last 8 to 10 spots of trying to get some guys off the neg list or guys that slipped through the draft or with what happened in the XFL. So we'll continuously work on those. And then obviously the NFL draft just happened. So it's going back and looking at our American college scouting that we did this past year and seeing if there's any guys that have sort of hit our charts that don't have anywhere and building next up lists and whatnot. So busy times. And then your focus starts being on, as a personnel department, being on next year's U.S. college and youth sports and knowing who those seniors are. So a lot of work.
A lot of work to be done. A lot of great work done tonight by you and the entire staff there. Berkey, thanks for doing this. Always great to see you, and get some sleep, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Oski Wee Wee, guys.
Oski Wee Wee. Oski Wawa. There he is. Senior Director of Personnel, Co-Manager of Football Ops, Shawn Burke. Don't go anywhere. We'll wrap up the night with Drew Alamang. You're watching the Ticats Virtual Draft Party presented by Ticats Insurance, provided by My Insurance Broker.